Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Remain standing for your hosts, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Heath, Adam Doreen, about ready to rumble.
See, George, I was going to say, is the higher altitude just messing with your brain? Like, you just fumbled the intro so hard, and the only difference that we've had is that you're standing up.
Yeah, honestly, you'd be surprised at how much the context and the setting that I'm in influences my ability to just do those rote things like the intro and the outro of the show. Like, if one little thing is different, my brain is like, where are we? What's going on? What's happening?
His hand must be holding something in particular at all times for him to keep, track of where he's at.
That's true. My trusty
mouth.
Bell.
Your mouth. So for reference, because this is an audio medium mostly,
except for those of you, those for whom are watching on video, for them it's an audio and a visual medium.
Only a couple of people, but most people would be audio. Anyway, the point being is we're all standing up today for some reason. Normally we sit down, different vibe. I've got lots of freedom of movement. I now have a wireless headset. Look at me move around. Look at me move around.
Look at him go.
It's very exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's on the move.
I can gesticulate. It's enormous.
Now you understand what it means to be Italian.
I love you say we're standing up for some reason. It's because you, Adam, you're the reason. You wanted to be standing up. And then George was like, well, fine, I'll stand up. And then I was guilted to be like, fine, I'll get off my lazy Sunday ass and I'll stand up then, I suppose.
You have a standy-uppy desk. It's not novel for you.
As Hoobastank once said, the reason is you. This is a news and politics podcast. That was one of their songs. And the reason is you. You don't remember that? That was Hoobastank.
Yeah.
I'm like 80% sure on that. News and politics podcast where we talk about the news of the week in a way that is both digestible and also leaves you in a state of existential terror for the coming week. First up on the chopping block, Rhodes. All roads lead to Rhodes. And all of those roads are on fire. So Rhodes is an island off the coast of Greece, and similar to Corfu or others that might have heard of. And basically, they're all on fire. So
not just Rhodes, lots of other places are also on fire.
A bunch of places
in Greece.
Yeah, and all around the Mediterranean. Yep.
Sicily, I believe, is burning. There's a lot of fire going on where normally you don't want fire to be.
Which is fun because both my mum and my sister are in Sicily at the moment. Oh. So just that's great. Just flying into a hot zone. That's cool.
I hope they're all right. I was not aware that they were out of the country.
No, that's cool. But yeah, no, they seem to be fine. I think the worst of it's over in Sicily from what I can tell. But the heat this summer has been just ridiculous. Like my mum sent me photos of, they have those little pharmacies, the Green Cross pharmacies in Europe where, they'll have a little info. That's just they have these pharmacies and then there's a little Green Cross little LED screen that says pharmacy. And then it might switch to the current temperature or something like that. And I'm just seeing pictures of those little Green Cross pharmacy signs or it's 50, 51 degrees, 53 degrees in the shade, just stinking hot at all times. Over there in Greece and Italy at the moment. So, yeah, and the result is
totally normal for that area.
Normal, fun stuff, okay? Totally normal, cool things. What were you saying, Tom? You were talking about a stat before the show, talking about how July is going to be the hottest month on record since records began in Greece. And I'll remind you that records began in Greece when Aristotle existed before Christ.
I think to be more accurate on the stat, I don't think it was counting back that far, but more it was for the world, global. It wasn't just Greece. It was that they have the hottest average temperature check for the world. It's often in June through August, the different months or days that are flagged as the hottest months on average on record. But when they broke it down to the days, I think something like 23 of them in the 30 hottest average days since they started measuring temperatures in this way have all been in this past July.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Tom, it doesn't count unless the Guinness officials are actually contacted and present. and they've been paid. It actually doesn't count as a world record. So global warming doesn't exist. Jim Inhofe is happily throwing snowballs at President Obama right at this very moment. So global warming can't exist, surely.
Yeah. And also the Guinness record isn't official unless it's being given to a fascist dictator. But, that's a whole nother conversation.
What are you referring to there?
Like Turkmenistan and all that sort of stuff. Like fucking love getting records.
Oh, yeah.
They're always like, hey, Guinness, give us records. And they're all like, sure, let's further legitimize this terrifying regime.
Yeah,
around the hellmouth.
All that sort of stuff. John Oliver did a really good piece on it where they make a giant cake. Anyway, they have a bigger budget than us, in that they have one. But yeah, it's bad.
It's bad,
you guys.
It's bad. Yeah, in case you're wondering, like, when is this blah 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 global warming? When's the global warming stuff going to kick in? Well, congrats.
It's been kicking in for a while.
Yeah.
It's been kicking in for a while, in that, like, I was remarking before we started the show today, like, I'm up in Sydney whilst you guys are down in Melbourne, and it is 25 degrees Celsius today in July. It's a nice beach day. Middle of our winter. That doesn't seem right. I love a sunny day as much as the next guy. I'm an adult. I see a lovely sunny day and I go, perfect day to hang out some washing. But no, that's not meant to be a thing now. This is bad, you guys.
Well, it is. Don't worry, we're gonna have some of those some of those famous Tasmanian pineapples coming up in the in the upcoming years, so that'll be good. Open up Tasmania for some new agriculture. Get some.
It's really about opening up opportunities, right?
Opening up jobs and growth. I remember seeing this article.
Bacterial growth.
I remember, I am obviously joking about, Tasmanian mangoes. That would obviously be a crime against nature. But I do remember seeing an article, I think it was from The Economist some years ago. One of these like mainstream publications in any case. But it was saying something to the effect of like, the good news about global warming is we'll be able to get into these isolated regions in the Arctic to do more drilling for oil. And I was like, that's not good news. That is obviously, how could you possibly be trying to spin that into good news? The good news is the oceans are boiling, which frees up more room for more oil exploration. I'm just going to keep injecting corporate profits directly into my heart, like fucking Pulp Fiction, Uma Thurman, and just the needle instead of adrenaline just says corporate profits. Just waking up.
I mean, George, I know the Economist isn't purely about only things to do with economics. They have great articles on many things, but, you're reading something called The Economist. And I imagine that's great for the economy to get more oil in the short term. It's probably great for a economy. I don't know about
The Economist. What's long-term thinking? The Economist. Subscribe now for your best offer, £1 a week for the next 12 weeks. Subscribe to The Economist. The Economist. It's almost over.
But I thought it was also kind of a bit funny that the announcement where they were, saying that the world's burning, we're all going to die. Now, in my professional opinion, now's the time to panic. That they were kind of
Should we be cracking open each other's heads and feasting on the goo inside?
That they were kind of having a bit of, like, they were being a bit cheeky, but I think, like, warranted, like, because, they said that July 2023 is going to be the hottest month ever recorded, but July wasn't over yet, so they tried to, like, they headed off that criticism, being like, well, the month's not over yet, when they said, I believe they said, short of a mini ice age in the next couple days, it's going to be. And it's like, this is...
one of those 3-day ice ages that you get from time to time?
Part of me was like, this is very serious. We shouldn't be making jokes. And the other part was like, no, I get your cynicism, because everyone's been like, no, it's not happening, you guys.
Yeah.
It's cold sometimes.
But there was that, it's been cold last couple of weeks in Melbourne. Had to wear a jacket. So
yeah, it was cold in winter. So clearly, global warming's not real.
Counterpoint: go fuck yourself.
But we're still approving new coal and gas stuff. So
good. That's good.
That's good. That's good. That's
the big needle of the economy is hurtling towards Uma Thurman's chest right as we speak. So that's good.
Wonderful.
Do we have anything else that obviously it's bad? It seems like, the worst of the fires
terrible.
are under control, at least in Sicily. In Greece, they're still going. But obviously there's been travel advisories and things not to fly in. And because of like the way it's structured, this article is from the BBC talking about British citizens going over there, but their Department of Foreign Affairs, or the Foreign Office, it's called there, hasn't... they updated their guidance to tell people traveling to overseas areas that might be affected to make sure that they had, quote, appropriate insurance. But they haven't actually changed the status of their recommendation to be like, don't go there, the place is on fire. Because
it's the British holiday season. It's
right.
It's an economic thing.
So they can't, but if they did that, then those people would be able to say, well, the Foreign Office has told me I can't go there or I shouldn't go there. Therefore, I can claim my money back on the travel insurance. So without that, they're just like, well, the place is on fire, but good luck. Make sure you got your certificate of currency with you because you're going to need it.
I guess the thing with like in Australia, when there's bushfires, it's obviously devastating. But I think in Australia, we're also much more cognizant of the fact that it's going to be bushfire season and people need to be prepared for that. The thing with Greece and Sicily,
all that sort of stuff,
there's fire plans, bushfire management plans, there's evacuation centres, there's a CFA, there are places set up to deal with this. The problem is with these European countries is they're not as well across it because they haven't had to deal with large wildfires on such frequency as what they have here, say, in Australia or, say, California or whatever else. So, like for instance, and there was a really interesting interview, or interesting / devastating that I saw with a Greek resident.
I think it's fair to say
on SBS.
Any news content we come across nowadays can be classified as interesting / devastating. So you don't need to have that prefix in front of the story. You don't need to have that. I'm just saying we assume it's assumed knowledge now that it's interesting / devastating.
It was a guy on a Greek island somewhere who was obviously devastated. He just lost his house. His wife was devastated. They were elderly. But he said, this is what got me, was he said, yeah, no, look, I was just down at the beach and then I came back and my house was burnt down. I'm like, bro, you're in the middle of the worst fires Europe's seen in ages. What possessed you to go to the fucking beach?
It's hot. It's hot. You got to go down to the beach.
But like, if that was Australia, you'd be like, you'd have your bag there, you'd be watching this.
Yeah, you got your go bag. Yeah.
Like it would be like you wouldn't just leave your house for like a couple of hours and be like, yeah, I was going to go to the beach. You'll be right. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if you know this. As someone with a Greek surname, I feel like I'm entitled to say this. Greeks have a different concept of priorities. Greeks and Italians, for that matter. Like,
my house.
I remember when my sister did some. There's a friend of the family who works in the Italian government, right? And she did an internship before she started working as a lawyer at the Italian Bureau of Strikes. Okay, so let that sink in. There is a government department that oversees striking workers in Italy and is like responsible for dealing with and liaising with strikers.
I was going to say, in which direction? Is that like, this is the government department that if you're on strike, you'd go to because they'd support you? Or is this kind of like more Pinkerton's?
No. It's not like an anti. That's not the impression I got. The Italians don't do union busting unless they're Italian Americans, in which case it's a different story. But the Italians in Italy have a government department which is there to provide, administrative support to strikers, any of this sort of stuff. Anyway, my sister goes there as like someone who's been honed as a Australian law student. Like, I imagine them in law school, they're kind of like yelling at him like it's, buds training or like, boot camp kind of thing. Like, you're going to go in there and you're going to file that brief. You son of a bitch maggot. You're going to run this off to the judge straight away. So she's come through that gauntlet of like legal training. And then she goes like interns for a couple of weeks at the Bureau of Strikes. And the Bureau of Strikes in Italy is like a very different, it's like Italian government is just like its own world. They like turn up at 10. They take like 2-hour lunches and then they knock off at 4. And so they would give my sister a task to be like, write something up, and then she would do it and then give it back to them. And they're like, amazing. How did you do? Hey, okay, how is it possible that you do this? And it's like, I just sat down and did the task that you gave me and then did it all and then gave it back to you straight away. And they're like, it's incredible.
I focused on my job.
So what I'm
Wow.
saying is, in terms of like how things operate, in terms of systems, I think there's probably a happy medium between like the hyper anal corporate culture that we have here in Australia and the United States versus what they have in Italy and Greece, which is like maybe too far. The other, like sometimes you need to write some things down.
While your house burns
down. Look, at least you had a good day, right? Okay, it's like if your house is going to burn down, you may as well be at the beach because there's nothing you can fucking do about it. So,
which is funny. Which country are known for their larrikinism?
Australia?
Food for thought. Like, I mean, yeah, they're like, why is like the country known for its larrikinism the one that's full of like really uptight, insane corporate dudes?
Oh, so you're saying there's like two sides of the same coin.
Really blasé and being like, oh no, chill. Like, yeah, you know what? We'll get it done. Like, whatever. Let's fuck about. We're hard. Let's go down to the beach. Oh, no, it's fire season. No, it's all right. We'll deal with it.
So I guess there's two different levels of sort of organization prioritization. I would argue that Greece and Italy are on one end of that. So maybe too blasé in the case of having your house burned down.
Yeah, that's insane.
I hope you packed a solid esky to go down to the beach because that is all the things. Left. That's all you've got left now.
Yeah, but like, so I don't know. I've just felt as the bleak note maybe to leave this story on is just that, you know, for years and years and years, whenever people have been talking about climate change and it's going like, oh, what? Like, yeah, okay, the planet's warming up a little bit. Like, it gets hotter and colder. Like, things change all the time and da-da-da-da. Like, what? It's not the apocalypse. And people are like, no. The world will burn or places will flood or like, you know, at what point are people going to realize that maybe it could end life as we know it?
Honestly,
like, when the world's on fire.
Yeah, no.
For an audio medium, I am gesticulating wildly.
See, and the reason you can do that, Tom, is because he's standing up. I really think it's when it starts. He's going wacky, waving, inflatable arm flailing tube man. He's going nuts.
Everything's on fire.
I think when, in all seriousness, to go away from the like darkly comedic side to just the pure darkness side, I think when it affects people's lives directly, when their house burns down or their neighbor's house burns down, when they can see it impacting their neighborhood specifically, and it's not deniable, and it's not just like, oh, it's a hot summer, this is a strange one-off event, or this crazy once in 100-year event that we keep happening every year, record-breaking year on year, every single year. When it happens in their backyard or when their neighborhood floods or when these things start happening to them is when they'll start taking it seriously. And yet the big story this week was that the Victorian Premier said, hey, in new builds, we're going to have electric stoves rather than gas stoves. And that's going to be, you know, the law for new housing developments going forward. And man, you should have seen the comments. You could bribe a gas stove from my cold dead hands. And it's like, bro, this is the same week that we're looking at Italy and Greece burning to the ground. And you just like, oh, but induction stoves aren't as good. And it's like, well, you're just going to have to put up with it. And they're not even saying that they're going to come and take your existing gas stoves. They're just saying for new properties that are being, it's the most modest of changes. Properties that are being built in the future, we're going to go electric only, right? And everyone was just in conniptions, vote Dan Andrews out and fucking kill Dan, you know, all this sort of stuff. Like, that's been
in the works though as well for like, I don't know, I want to say like 5 years since I started in construction. Like they've been talking about that.
You could probably comment on this better than I could, Adam, working in the industry. But from the industry people that I've seen commenting about it, they're like, yeah, we've mostly been doing this anyway of our own accord because it just makes more sense. Like it's been trending in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the gas stuff is definitely still the default inclusions in a lot of contracts. But, you know, there've been options to have electric alternatives in every build, whether it be for volume stuff or whether it be custom. Obviously, you've got the option there. So it'll just be a case of just phasing out the old product and putting the new one in. The other thing being is a lot of newer, or not a lot of newer states, but some newer states are electric only anyway. There is no gas underground.
I think that's what they were referring to, yeah.
But I mean, this is the thing, is that there are still a bunch of newer states that are under construction that have permits that probably will be completed that will have gas. So there will be, like, this is a 30-year timeline for this to really happen. So it's as you said, it's probably the most modest of change.
It's such a nothing.
You can really, go through. Yeah,
you know,
it's. I mean, yeah, and the other thing being is like, there's no. Like, there's not to say people will still find ways to get around it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just get a gas bottle connected to your house, and then you can cook with gas, or a barbecue. A barbecue.
They're killing the Australian barbecue, Adam. They're coming. First they came for our weekends, and we said nothing. Now they're coming for our barbecues. I mean, really, it's just the hysteria over it. Like, it's so funny seeing the two things just side by side. It's like world burning and also like incredibly modest change to new developments coming down the pike, and the complete, the abnegation of responsibility and complete inattention for one, and then the absolute vitriolic outrage for the other. And it's just like, it just seems like, it feels like I'm not living on the same planet. I was like, do you guys see? Like, it makes me feel hysterical sometimes. Like, do you not see? They're in the same paper, these stories. Like, how can you not put two and two together here? Like, it's crazy making.
That's on the other side of the world. It doesn't matter what happens on the other side.
Yeah, well, it's 6 months. It's going to be this side of the world. Like, that's how fucking seasons work, mate. Like, I hate to break it to you, but it'll be us this summer. Like,
yep. All right, and also, sorry, I just saw an alert pop up on my computer. If it gets 1 degree warmer today here where I am, it'll be the hottest day in July that this suburb's ever had. So, there we go. Woo!
Let's go. Which suburb are you in?
Annandale. Sydney suburbs are tiny, Adam. People can figure out where I live.
Which area
and
are
what
you
street?
in?
And your tax file number is 861.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Allendale, I'll say it incorrectly. Annandale.
Yeah.
That's come on for the record. Let's go. Let's go for it.
Woo!
Get the guys there from Guinness and go hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to move on.
What's Turkmenistan paying you? I'll double it. All right.
We need to move on. But we talked about last week, week before, about Kathryn Campbell. Kathryn Campbell was the former head of the department that was responsible for the illegal Robodebt scandal, and that subsequent to that, she had a few different positions, and the most recent one was she was a what did we say it was? Special advisor?
Special advisor on the AUKUS advisory panel. So this is the AUKUS is the submarine deal between Australia, the UK, and the US for their nuclear submarine technology. And they saw fit to pay her $900,000 for that role, and she since resigned. Now, I say resigned from that role. Now, she has resigned from a great height in a hail of bullets, so I don't know how much of a resignation that is. She's gone and stabbed herself 56 times in the back. What a resignation.
Yeah. She has resigned in the same way that, any enemies of Russia kind of stand near windows.
Oh, clumsy fucking oligarchs. Get away from windows, you idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, they slippery. What? I'm just imagining Vasily, no, I'm slipping on a banana peel. Just, whoa. These clumsy fucking oligarchs. What do they do? Stay on the ground floor, you idiots.
So she was stood down last week, the week before. She was suspended, as it were, from the AUKUS advisory panel. And then, so she's since resigned.
What are they going to do? How's the AUKUS submarine project going to cope without Kathryn Campbell? God. She was integral. I mean, she was getting paid nearly $1 million a year. So she must be of vital importance to the project. So how are they going to make up the shortfall?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah. Are we still going to get these? Yeah, are we still going to get these submarines in 40 years? It's really important.
Who knows?
42 years, Tom, now. It's woefully behind schedule.
Yeah, the project's actually blown out by another couple of $1 million since we were talking, so it's really unfortunate. So,
actually, interestingly, today, Richard Marles announced that I think they're going to start doing missile manufacturing here in Australia for the first time, which is
cool.
Another little thing to go, probably in line with this. I don't know if it's part of AUKUS, but it's AUKUS adjacent, shall we say.
Can I just...
that was announced today.
Nothing against Australian manufacturing. I'm sure there are some very capable people out there. But I'm just imagining some Darrow cunts in Geelong out there just trying to... building some fucking... Oh, mate, give us your fucking lighter. Oh, well, so where are you going down? Oh, going down to me job at the fucking missile factory.
Did you just say Geelong?
Geelong? Yeah, it was a joke. It's not. I know it's Geelong.
Who says Geelong?
I thought it was funny. It was a bit, Tom.
I mean, but it's a bit if you're pretending to be someone who's not from Australia, wondering where they were. But if you're being like, nah, it's like those it's like the skeezy guys down in Geelong. Like they'll call it Geelong. They won't call it Geelong.
Tom, you're exhausting.
All right, so it's really funny when you just explain the architecture of the bit. It's even funnier when you do that.
Am I explaining it or am I picking it apart? Are we not intellectuals here?
Can I mute him? So Kathryn Campbell has resigned from her post and will not be making $900,000 a year going forward. But don't worry, I'm sure PricewaterhouseCoopers circling the boat to see where they can scoop her up for a mere $600,000.
And then probably the replacement for that role will probably end up getting paid more because it'll be like, oh well, if there's a labour shortage,
you got to attract good talent.
Good talent. So
no. The irony is she'll probably go work for a consultancy in a role to like liaise with government on the AUKUS deal or something like that. That's the irony of it. Is she'll probably is like, well, that's where her skill set is. She's got relationships with AUKUS. Like, let's hire her in as like chief AUKUS officer at fucking Ernst & Young.
Bales, Australia or something.
Yeah, liaise with your own replacement.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there is a lot of stuff ramping up in defence at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see, in 20 years when we look back to see where the money's been spent, how it's been spent, and if there's even a world to look back on. It'll all be
And I'm sure I can say with confidence that every single $1 will have been well spent. There won't be a single white elephant, and you can quote me on that. Okay, George Ignatius Tsibos. That's not my middle name. 10 years from now, we're gonna have so many submarines, and they're gonna be all equitably priced. Yeah. We're gonna get such a good deal on those submarines, and it definitely won't have been a massive waste of time, energy, human capital, opportunity cost. It's certainly not going to be a white elephant that's going to haunt us for generations. You mark my words, George Tsibos, 2023. Take it out of context. I don't give a fuck.
So yeah, moving on to other scary things. It's a dark timeline, this show. There was a story this week.
Was it in Geelong?
Yeah, I was going to say you're letting your Geelong accent show there, Adam.
Sorry, mate.
I know you're standing
that
up.
image of Darren just at the fucking missile factory with a screwdriver is.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, the idea of working on munitions with a
Dunny's broken. It's spilled all over the missiles. Oh fuck!
Lit cigarette with a fucking can of beer. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the story that dropped about a really weird, I guess, a bunch of. It's a case that it's kind of complicated, but there's a finding that was made in the US. A bunch of charges that were laid in by a US court.
It was a civil action. It wasn't. There weren't charges.
Well, they say the article says charged in the United States with offences, including trademark infringement. So I think it was
okay. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
I assumed it was all. Anyway, go
on. But basically, a US court found that a lady by the name of Sarah Luke was found guilty of breaching a bunch of infringements, including trademark infringements.
Whole bunch of intellectual property stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, well this Sarah Luke sounds like a bad character. I mean, if she's done all this trademark infringement stuff and ripped off brands, she deserves to be charged by a US court. I have no further information that might make me regret saying this.
But yeah, it turns out there is a bit more to it than that.
Oh no!
Whereby that she was charged and found guilty in absentia. She's obviously here in Australia. She's an Australian citizen.
Yeah.
And she was told in absentia to pay that she now has to pay. I think it's Adidas and the NBA, National Basketball Association, $1.2 million. I've got that the wrong way around, but you understand what that is. It's about 1.8 million Australian dollars.
Yeah.
Or approximately 3 Kathryn Campbells.
Or 3 Kathryn Campbells. Exactly right.
Hang on, I want to get the math right and see how many Kathryn Campbells it is. Exactly.
Sorry, actually, that's more like 2 Kathryn Campbells.
It's exactly 2 Kathryn Campbells.
Exactly 2.
Campbells.
Yeah.
Campbells. It's all right. We're we're a computing machine here at Unnatural Selection. So the reason why she was found guilty, and I'm going to tilt this back down again because I've got sick of standing.
Yeah, well, you're kind of leaning over this screen like you're sort of very keen to be standing at the start of the podcast, and
now I'm no longer.
A mere 30 minutes in, you're just like, you're kind of like hunched over like you were giving birth or something. Like you were just like a boomer in a Zoom meeting, like dialing in from his laptop, just like hunched over, looming perilously over the screen like you were. Yeah.
Well, now I'm sitting down too. Adam was the first one, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the first one to break.
I often do podcasts standing up, and I don't make such a big deal out of it.
We get it. You're better than us.
I'm better than you. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
It's nice that you have knees that work.
He is the youngest of the three of us.
So turns out Sarah Luke was part of the Medibank data breach that we talked about pretty extensively several months ago, but a year ago now, I'm going to say something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't even happen a year ago, so it was like October or November or something.
October, last year.
Yeah.
So that's basically for context. Medibank, it's a health insurance company here in Australia, and a bunch of the clients' data was put out in the dark web and sold off for spare parts. Now, as part of that, some of the spare parts that people picked up, they basically, these hackers, they got it off the dark web. They then got into her PayPal account and then made a number of a large number of fraudulent transactions with that PayPal account in the space of a few days. The thing is with PayPal is that you may not necessarily know that you're spending that money until shortly afterwards, because I think you get an email notification, but the money may not actually come out of your account.
You may not be watching it like a bank
3 days
account
later.
Right.
Yeah. The money doesn't necessarily come out of your account for a few days later. So,
and it also and it's not even like if they've accessed the PayPal account as well, it's not necessarily her bank account. You'd be noticing these transactions going through, and what she's been accused of is that they were using her PayPal account to be running a counterfeit Adidas stuff.
Ring.
So believe it or not, they were using it to sell knockoffs.
Believe it or not, the single mother of four in Byron Bay was not the head of an international counterfeiting ring.
Yes,
as suspected. But the thing that really fucks me off about this case is that she was taken to court in absentia. So, which means I
had no idea that she was being taken.
Well, exactly. I had no her name, her personhood was taken to court without her physically present, without her She got an email which she assumed was a scam and just deleted it. And then she kept seeing emails and emails come through about this, and she this is actually a for real thing. This is not some scam that someone's trying to pull on me. The case went ahead in the US without her present. The judges allowed the judgment against her in absentia, and she's not even there to defend herself, and now she owes the NBA and Adidas $1.8 million. They decided without her input, without her, which is crazy to me that some court on the other side of the world can take me to court or can take someone to court and find a judgment against them. It's like it's just crazy. Like that.
And I guess the knock-on, not knock-on effect, but sort of like the effect of this, I think, is something that's being debated sort of in a way that legal professionals in Australia have, when they were consulted by the ABC and news outlets about this, that whether or not it's enforceable internationally, and they're sort of like, jury's out sort of on that as to whether or not they can force her to pay the money. But it would be a thing of if she tried to just go on holiday to New York, that maybe it would flag that they're a criminal, not criminal, but like that there was a ruling sort of against you. You're a wanted person or a person of interest or all that sort of stuff. So it can affect. So while you might just be sitting, you could stay in Byron Bay and maybe there's zero consequences. In that sense, it can affect her in sort of many different ways, depending on sort of where that judgment comes out. But I think a part of this that's interesting is the actual methods with which the hackers took control of her PayPal account and how that was kind of done. Because while we mentioned the Medibank data breach, it's worth noting that Medibank have kept the consistent messaging to say that passwords weren't obtained in their breaches.
That is their messaging, yes.
That is their messaging. So they've constantly said passwords weren't accessed, like other records might have been, but yeah, passwords weren't accessed. And the reason that the Medibank data breach is even in this at all is because Ms. Luke says that the only data breach she is aware of being in is the Medibank one. And
it could have been another one.
Yes, aware of being in is the key point there, because if you use websites like Have I Been Pwned, and your details can pop up in like with companies that you've never even fucking heard of because of the way the data can be shared around now. But the hackers used a technique that they call credential stuffing, which is essentially where you don't have to have gained access to, PayPal doesn't have to have had a data breach. Another place could have had a data breach, and that they put together, or like several places could have data breaches. So while like Medibank, they get your email, fucking Telstra, they get a password.
They're compiling
all
of this information.
They can link all that together. Yeah, they can then go, well, I don't know, do they reuse the same password? Let's just try it. Or like, oh, hey, I've got 5 different passwords, but there's similarities between them. Let's try those variations.
Or I can see there's some sort of system going on with them.
System going on, yeah. So that they do stuff like that. So it's one of those things where, like, in no way, like, yeah, this is no way me saying like, you weren't careful enough, but it's another argument for having unique passwords for everything. Is what can delay this. Like, nothing's unhackable, but like, yeah, that practice of credential stuffing, having unique passwords for everything is what sort of helps that. Because if you use the same password, or if you use a password and you just change a letter depending on what it's for and things like that. I'm guilty of, I used to do stuff like that like fucking ages ago, but yeah, then like reworked my passwords around being more unique. But yeah, that you might have like, oh, I can tell that this is Facebook or this is whatever based on changing a letter, and no one else will know unless they know that, right? Like, nah, they can put it together. So
anyway, 6 months on,
a new thing to be scared of,
a new thing
to be afraid of in
have
cyberspace.
Existential terror about. You just wake up one day and you owe the NBA $1.2 million. So 6 months on, she's complained to New South Wales Police, the ACCC, the Australian Financial Complaints Commission, Australian Cybersecurity Centre, and no one's been willing to sort of help her out. She's had to engage an intellectual property lawyer in the US, and just like starting point for that is like $15,000 just to clear your name. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems so crazy to me that some judge in some court on the other side of the world with no context, with no understanding of you or who you are, can just decide that you owe millions of dollars. And yes, they may not pursue her for this. Maybe they're just like trying to send a message. That seems to be the argument from the William Gallagher, who's a professor of law at Golden State University in San Francisco, said basically like what he thinks, maybe the judgment is the reward in its own right. It shows that they are aggressive enforcers and the message gets out there. So you're basically saying we made an example of this woman. We may not actually come after her to actually pursue the judgment to get this money, but we want everyone to know that we can fuck up your shit from where it's basically the legal equivalent of going, it's a nice trademark. Be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, but just
wild.
Yeah, wild and terrifying. It really feels like, because I really sort of empathized with her when she just said like, oh, I got notification of this and it seemed like a scam.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't trust an email that just popped up to say like, hey, you've been found guilty in like Oregon for like blah blah. I'll be like, what?
Go and get a bunch of Apple gift cards and post them to the amount of $1.2 million USD.
So it feels like there should be some kind of better way for if it's possible to just be tried in another country without you having set foot in there, which I guess it kind of is now that we're such a digital worldwide economy and all interconnected and stuff. Like, I don't know, some kind of way that like the embassies talk to each other, and that I don't know, that police serve you with something to be like, this has come through for you, and then like, I don't know, something that legitimizes it more?
I think my nonno understood the dangers of digitization very early on when he said to me, George, the banks they're no good.
They're no good.
They're no good.
Was this am I misremembering this story that he also had like a shotgun behind the fridge?
He did. We don't talk about that.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right.
It was not registered.
The same no, right? He had like
so it was just
had a shotgun.
It was so okay, so I guess it's okay because my uncle like found it and then like handed it into the cops, so no one did anything illegal, and my grandpa's long dead, so I suppose we could talk about it. But like, yeah, and I remember seeing like something. It was like sort of in the slot next to the fridge. So like me as a child, for sure, could have gotten access to this shotgun with live rounds in it.
It was loaded. Oh, wow.
Loaded? No, he didn't.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess if those no
Dude,
good
he had a
banks,
shotgun. He had an illegal shotgun in the kitchen wrapped up in a fucking tea towel like a mafioso. Are you telling me? No. He certainly wouldn't do anything as irresponsible as having it loaded. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. But wow, yeah, those banks really are no good, and you're ready to shoot
no good.
them. You're really ready to shoot them in the face when they come and knocking. Stunning.
The digital age is terrifying.
A good way to segue to our next story, which is also slightly terrifying if you're a Chinese citizen. Basically, there's been sort of some speculation and some rumors going around, and I guess it's kind of confirmed now in China that the recently posted foreign minister, Qin Gang, has been disappeared, basically, by the CCP.
No. He hasn't been disappeared. He just never existed. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes?
So basically, for the last 10 years, the foreign minister was this bloke called Wang Yi. Okay, and you've probably seen his face. He's an older guy. He's about 69, and he's been sort of doing the rounds on behalf of China for many years. Now, very recently, 207 days was the length of office of the new guy, which, as I said, was Qin Gang. He basically was a rising star in the CCP. He held this special office title. I think it was. I'm going to find the name of it now. So he was foreign minister, and he was also something else.
Hang on. So 207 days, you said?
Correct.
So that is about 4.7 Liz Trusses or 18.8 Scaramucci's.
Nice.
Just for everyone.
I love that.
Keeping track at home.
We should start an online calculator so people can compare these things.
Someone has definitely already done that.
So Scaramucci was how long? 10 days?
11 days.
11 days.
And Liz Truss was 44. So that's how you know that one Liz Truss is 4 Scaramucci's.
I got to write this down.
Yeah.
It's vital that we know these numbers. That's the key thing. So the other role that Qin Gang held was state councillor. And the reason why that's important is because state councillor, you're basically like there's like 3 people that outrank him. There's like the premier Li Qiang, the vice premiers, and then Xi Jinping. So he's young. He's like in his 40s or something. He was a rising star, right? So he basically had a couple of meetings. He'd met with, I think, Anthony Blinken from the US, and then
they had a 7-hour meeting.
A 7-hour meeting.
Wow!
Not that long after that, all of a sudden he gets disappeared. I don't know if that's like, bro, what'd you say to Anthony? I don't know. No one really knows at this point exactly what it's about. But
it was really weird that, and because that meeting was said to be quite productive as well. Yeah. So it was interesting to see
from both sides.
What they've said is that for health reasons, right? But they always say this is for health reasons. Everyone's
for health reasons. Really, like he's about to fall from an 8th-story balcony window. This clumsy fucking guy.
Always for health reasons. What was the reason they gave for that tennis player that we just didn't see for ages? Probably something similar.
Something similar. Then the other day, Xi Jinping basically signed a decree putting the old guy, Wang. I've forgotten his last name again. Where did it go? Wang Li.
2 days from retirement.
Yeah, back into the role.
Getting too old for this shit.
Wow.
But the thing is, like they signed it. It said that he's no longer the foreign minister, and then they deleted his existence off the internet.
That's
wild. Just got rid of it. All of the websites, all of the press briefings, all of everything, any mention of him was just removed.
That is literal 1984 shit. Like, I hate to be that guy. And you'd be like, George Orwell, NBA. But like, that is literally one of the major sort of plot points in 1984 is that like things change with who they're at war at. And so they just rewrite history. They just decided that's not what happened. This whole different thing happened. And this is the truth now. Like,
doesn't he work at like the truth?
Ministry of Truth or whatever.
Ministry of Truth or something. Yeah. Like, fuck. That's crazy. Because also, like, I don't know. Like, there's two reads on that there, right? Like, you know, that they've completely removed him from existence in all their briefings and brought the old guy back. Either that they had him disappeared, or is it a thing of he did a 7-hour meeting with the US and then disappeared? Did the US disappear him?
It was the CIA.
They're like, oh shit, we need a new minister. Bring the old dude back. The other guy didn't exist. We're not weak. The US didn't bump off anyone that was one of ours.
I wonder whether there was
ballsy of the US to try something like that.
I wonder whether or not there may have been like a secret, like, you know, like Anthony Blinking's meeting with him, and then he's like winking at Blinken, like get me out 2 blinks.
SOS with his eye blinks.
Oh,
blink, 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 blink.
Yeah, do you need asylum or whatever? Then again, I mean, on the if we're wondering that if, you know, were they evil enough to just, you know, assassinate one of their own ministers or whatever, and then just cover the whole thing up. I think after a 7-hour meeting, I'd want them to shoot me too. I mean, I have
too many meetings nowadays.
I've had like, you know, a 30-minute meeting booked that ends up going for an hour and 40, and I'm like, can kill me.
Yeah.
So 7 hours. Woo.
What's interesting about Wang Li is that not only is he the foreign minister, but he's also now. So traditionally, the foreign minister in China is just a messenger. There's no decision-making power. He's just like, I will convey messages, like an ambassador, right?
And the message is, it's a nice spratly island there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Literally.
I forgot about it.
But he now also holds a bunch of other positions which basically allow him to form policy as well. So he's also now, like, in addition to being a messenger and a global face of China, like meeting with different countries, he's met with Penny Wong and stuff, for instance, and actually has been a key part of revitalizing some of those relationships. He was also a key part in downgrading some of those relationships to start off with during the pandemic. But he's not just like, this guy is very powerful now. The guy that's back in the foreign minister position.
Wang Yi, yeah.
So it'll be interesting, to see if there's anything more comes of this. I think it'll just sort of get swept under the rug, and that'll be the end of it. But
no, in communist China, what?
Yeah, it's just crazy how you can just remove a person from existence.
Well,
like
when they. I mean, you know, we've talked a lot
at
about
at least Liz Truss got a head of lettuce to compare to, so...
Yeah, but, like, you know, the control over the internet, especially, over there, you can just remove information from it, and unless you're using back channels to get around it to the wider world of information, you can just completely erase a person's existence.
There were speculations about that Qin Gang was potentially having an affair with a TV journalist, and you know, that there was suspicions of espionage. So there's always rumors floating around various, you know, whatever it's called, Weibo.
How much of that is disinformation propagated by the Chinese government? How much is that is actually real? Like,
going around,
you wouldn't know.
Weibo.
Is it Weibo or WeChat?
I know there's WeChat.
Weibo.
It's like a
Weibo.
and all that sort of stuff. Weibo is the robot assistant from Flubber.
Weibo is actually what Donald Trump did on the in that hotel room.
It is spelled
Allegedly.
Weibo. That's the social media
Weibo.
Weibo. Okay.
Weibo.
Like, way to go, Bo.
I think I am Darren, guys. I think I'm Darren, going down to the missile factory with a screwdriver.
G'day, mate. Gonna tinker with some foreign policy, mate.
Oh, yeah. That'll buff right out.
I might be Darren, to be fair. Now, going to some...
I broke George.
I don't know why. I don't know why that got me. That was just that's exactly the sort of thing that Darren would say. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it'll buff right out.
Oh, yeah, just a bit of elbow grease.
Yeah.
Give me right, mate. Yeah, it's all right. The missile isn't straight. Yeah, no.
Don't worry about it, mate. Don't worry, she'll be right.
Doesn't have to be. That's the
the fucking rocket. It just goes.
Common misconception. Missiles don't need to be straight, mate. Nah, mate.
That'll buff right out. So, speaking of vast government conspiracies that envelop an entire powerful superpower for decades, UFOs.
I didn't know which US story you were about to jump to there. I was like, it could be either. So yeah, UFOs, let's go.
We did have some stories this week about disclosure. So for those who are outside of the who aren't ufologists, part of the UFO community, disclosure is the idea that the US government has been hiding all of these UFO things, and there's going to come a point at some time where they're going to turn around with a straight face and tell my fellow Americans, we are disclosing that aliens are in fact real and you should run for your lives. So there was a hearing this week by ex-Air Force intelligence officer David Grush, where he got up in front of Congress and said he was aware from people that he'd interviewed within the US military that there was collected at some of these UFO crash sites, alleged UFO crash sites, quote, human biologics that had been recovered from these scenes. Now, I don't know what it is with the UFO community where they got to like make up sciencey sounding words. I've never heard the term biologics used in that way before. And then the senator was like, well, where are the biologics, I guess? She's just like, she starts buying into his language about it, which the whole thing was very strange. But yeah,
they described as non-human
biologics.
Yeah.
Biological entities. So the contention that David Grush is making is he claims to have interviewed, whatever it was, 40 people all over the world of defense, is that there are crash sites, there are non-human remains that have been recovered from these crash sites, non-human technology, basically
they've been trying to reverse engineer. I thought was another part of it as well. Like, we're trying to reverse engineer.
And how do you think we got the iPhone? Tech. You think Steve Jobs was so fucking brilliant that he came up with the iPhone by himself? That's alien shit, you idiot.
This is not new, by the way. This is not like groundbreaking new stuff, like in terms of the UFO community. Like this stuff has been around since Roswell. They got the bodies in the bunker.
Sure, but it's the first time that I'm aware of that it's been like a credible person like presenting information to Congress saying like,
well, this is the thing though. They're saying it's a credible person.
He is a credible
His statement was, I saw a briefing about I saw a document that said that there was a program to collect the UFO stuff.
Right.
I asked for more information on the program and I was denied access.
Yeah. And
that's all he can tell us.
Well, he said that he's spoken to a bunch of people firsthand that have like confirmed this information. But until you get some of these people, it seems crazy to me that like the US government and like the House Oversight Committee and the people that are like running the budgets for these programs allegedly wouldn't know about any of this sort of stuff. That just seemed like it. If there's one thing that I know lots of people are really bad at, it's keeping secrets. Because like nowadays you can get on TikTok and get so many views for spilling the beans. So I just really don't think, I would love for it to be, I so want it to be true, man. I so want the aliens. Fucking take me, bro. Take me first. I'm going up on the spaceship. I'll do whatever freaky shit you want. Okay. Just let me be first. Let me go. But like
I think you share sentiments with some of the committee members because what was it? The Guardian has quoted here Tim Burchett, one of the Republican congressman from Tennessee, who said, "I believe they aliens exist. I knew that before I came in here."
It's a very fair and impartial process.
He's excited.
But to be clear, mathematically, okay, the universe is big. Okay, I think it was it Jodie Foster in what movie is that? Where she said it'd be a real waste of space. Okay,
yeah, that's the biggest oversimplification. Like, look,
First Contact.
Mathematically, the universe.
First Contact, single word.
It's real
The
big.
universe
Okay,
is
our
big.
galaxy alone is like hundreds of billions of stars. Okay, each one of those stars probably has some planets floating around it. Planets that are close enough to support human life. That's just our galaxy, and there's how many millions, billions of galaxies, right? So the universe is real big.
Even perceive.
That's just what we can see. Okay, there was imagery from the James Webb Space Telescope. This week, I saw an article. They think the universe might be 24 billion years old as opposed to 13.7, which is what we thought before because it's so much larger than they thought because of the more stuff they're able to see. I don't know if that's been fact checked, but the point is like the universe is real big. Okay, there is a I would think that it has to be mathematically impossible for there not to be intelligent life out there in the universe somewhere. Now,
but it's also
let me finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. Is because the chances that they have faster than light travel and can find us in this huge pot of the universe and come to us and be here faster than light. That I don't know about. That seems less likely, but
doesn't necessarily have to be faster than light. Like, I mean, if you have like a decent breeding program and everything on the ship, you can leave your planet, and then your future generations will be the ones that actually arrive.
That's just the plot to Independence Day, okay?
Yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Did I miss that part in Independence Day where the aliens had
they move their entire civilization from planet to planet, consume all the resources, then move on.
It was the same one as
locusts.
The same one as that plot, the one with Chris. I didn't watch it. Chris
Hemsworth?
No, the other one.
Mine?
No, the other one.
No.
The one from Guardians. The one from Chris Pratt. And
Passengers.
Passengers, right? Yes, which was about that. They were like on a spaceship, like
but they were in
cryogenesis or something. Yeah,
they were in state. They had like the technology of like cryostasis. No, I'm talking about like with you don't need to invent a way to somehow like either sleep or live forever or travel faster than light. It's like no, you'll die. You'll never see the other planet, but your kids,
but your descendants will. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, will be the ones that
there's a bunch of films.
It's
like
much
that.
more bleak.
But the whole point, like, even if that was the case, they knew somehow to point directly at Earth and then fire off spaceships towards us. They'd still have to be going incredibly. They'd have to be using technology that we can't have conceived of yet. That would make them go as fast as possible, as we know would be the speed of light, and it would be dozens, hundreds of years from other places in the galaxy at the speed of light to reach this point from elsewhere.
The other thing is we're assuming that they're like, this is the thing that I liked about that movie, Nope, is that we assume that these things are little aliens in spaceships.
They are bipedal creatures.
Biologics.
Yeah. Or that they are necessarily from another part of the universe. They could just be things that are present on Earth. They could be space objects. They could be things that have just been present on Earth. They've always been here. We just have never been able to.
Is that there have been enough credible sightings of like unexplained phenomena from aerial pilots, videos that have been recorded on multiple instruments, where objects are zipping around at like weird speeds, moving straight up into the atmosphere. Like that, these things have been recorded enough that we know that there's something funky happening out there. We don't know that it's aliens, but fuck, I hope it's aliens. That'd be so cool if it was aliens. Could you imagine arguing about the stage 3 tax cuts if there was aliens? They'd be like, oh, well, the stage 3 tax cuts are actually be a boon to the economy. Like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. There's aliens. Get rid of the stage 3 tax cuts.
Reminds me, I was thinking of bringing this up earlier when we were talking about how the world's on fire, but I guess it kind of also relates to this too. I saw, someone on TikTok or somewhere pointing out like how you should judge how serious something is do I still have to go to work tomorrow?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, probably not that big a deal. But if the answer is no, the follow-up question should be, do I still have to pay rent? And if the answer is yes, probably not that big a deal. If it's no, whoa, we got a big deal going on.
Proceed to step 3.
Aliens are here.
It's aliens.
But my landlord still needs me to pay rent, so it's probably not that big a deal.
Yeah, I think you definitely get a snow day when there's aliens confirmed for sure.
I'd like to think so.
I think I heard a theory somewhere that this is all just part of this whole let's have a congressional hearing. So there's either that, which is just there's either the concept here that it's just about the deep state is just trying to fucking give the
whole thing's a psyop.
It's just to give the public a little nugget just to make them feel like they're being valued, There's that, or that's the whole concept of revealing
that doesn't sound like government at all.
that they're trying to water down the concept.
Soft disclosure. This is the plan. It's a fucking psyop to get us all used to the idea before they drop the veil. And they go, psych, Donald Trump was a reptilian this whole time, bitches. We all knew.
Yes, I would love.
And then they're like, by the way, you still have to pay rent.
Rent is definitely due on the 1st. I cannot clarify that enough. Yeah.
I would love if the reveal that aliens exist is like Homer Simpson running out of fucking the Capitol building, like up to the 2 presidential candidates and ripping their skins off and their aliens in the suits, just like Bob Dole and Clinton. That would be very, very good.
Well, it's probably an interesting point this week in terms of, there might be other reptilian shapeshifters in the US government. One of them may well be Mitch McConnell.
Yeah,
as it turns out. Or maybe he's a robot. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the flesh-based suit being piloted malfunctioned this week. While the man who is definitely turtly enough for the Turtle Club just froze mid-sentence in a press conference.
It was it was a lot.
It's very bizarre sort of footage. He just stopped talking and just stood staring into space for like 19 seconds before someone went like, "Hey, Mitch, let's just..." And he seemed fairly cognizant at the time. So, it's where a lot of people think maybe he had a stroke or something. But, George, you've got the clip?
We got the clip. So I would like to clarify, when it goes quiet, it's not an edit. That's just him pausing.
It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take a break. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
And was it related to your injury from earlier this year where you suffered a concussion? Is that you find you're fully able to do your job?
Do you have anybody in mind to replace you when you're no longer the conference leader?
Oh, wow. Yeah, they did not mince words with the questions afterwards. They were like, "Hey, Mitch, are you falling apart?"
Hey, buddy.
Was that later in the day, or was that?
I think it was the same day.
No,
or was it
he
the next
came
day?
back. Yeah, no,
Oh,
it was the same day. He came back. They led him away. That tall guy.
Hey,
went up
Mitch,
and just
saw you
speaking.
buffering there for a second. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, he returned. They brought him back, and he was just like, "I'm fine," and kind of kept going. I think, of course, they haven't announced anything that happened because they're, wanting to not admit that there's anything wrong with the Senate Minority Leader.
Sure.
But the reigning theory seems to be that he had a mini stroke just in the middle of the press conference. Like, it seems consistent with being like lucid, but
seems
like,
plausible to me, right? Like
staring off into space. That those sorts of things just happened. But the memes have been great. The amount of people saying like, "Oh, he definitely just shat his pants." Like, that just looks like a newborn baby or a dog staring off when they just take a dump wherever they want.
I here at Unnatural Selection, we don't make jokes about people's health conditions, and we certainly wouldn't want to make the joke that God was just filibustering the supply of blood to Mitch McConnell's brain. Like, that's not a joke that we would make here on Unnatural Selection. We obviously wish the senator well and hope that he emerges from his shell as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, hopefully this is just a little situation of Satan just being AFK, and sometimes you're away when the important thing happens in a match. But yeah, it seems like he picked up the puppet strings again later on and brought him back out, and everything's all well and good. But yeah, I wish Mitch McConnell well on his journey to death.
And presumably King Payman has found a new host at this stage. I hear Kevin Spacey's available. So
true, that's true. Yeah. He has been. He's had the burden of charges against him lifted. So yeah, he is more than available for further evil.
I think the real tragic joke of this is that Mitch McConnell may now be forced to rely on the healthcare system he's spent his life dismantling. So
fair.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah. That is a fate worse than death.
That's it.
Adam,
that's all I got.
You looked mortified.
Do you have one?
when I wished ill on the personification of evil itself, Mitch McConnell.
I don't want to say nasty things about people's health, but
I'll do it.
People's health.
I'll do it. I got another one. I got another one.
Maybe he'll take it as a sign to that maybe this is
the white pearly gates opening up in front of him.
Yeah.
Maybe retire is what I was going to say.
Boy, it's hot up here in heaven.
Adam, you don't want to speak ill towards people's health. I get it. But when it comes to like the pond scum that are ruining the earth deliberately, have at it.
And technically he's not a person, he's a turtle. So
That's true.
He could go through a rebrand. That's an option.
Yeah, that's one option for Mitch McConnell. Late stage rebrand.
Late stage rebrand. Just like Twitter this week. Now, I know you guys care strongly about Twitter. I know you guys.
Don't you try and undermine?
No.
How dare you? What is this
Twitter,
fucking It's like pre-sprinkling a bit of saltiness into. How dare you, Adam? How dare you, Adam Christopher Doreen, come at me with this fucking shade? Okay. Elon Musk.
I know that you are, attached to the blue bird.
Oh God, you're such a little bitch. I hate you so much.
You've been there with the blue bird since day one, or maybe day 100 or whatever Twitter started. I can't remember. You've been there the whole time, and the new change takes time to adjust to. George, you need to adjust to change. You need to give it time.
We're transitioning.
We're transitioning, and you need to be there for that and allow that to happen and be open to it. So what we're talking about here is that Twitter has changed their logo and all hell is broken loose.
Well, it's the latest in the very long list of boneheaded maneuvers that Elon Musk has made since taking over Twitter.
It's not Elon Musk. It's the CEO.
Well,
it's the new CEO.
The all-powerful CEO that definitely isn't just an empty suit in a chair.
Yeah, that was my first thought, because I was like, I thought him stepping down as CEO and someone else taking over was meant to stop all these batshit insane.
No, because he still owns it. It's still his plaything. At the end of the day, he's still in charge, even if someone else is. What I think is crazy, Linda Yaccarino, I believe is her name, is the new CEO, is that any self-respecting senior manager in tech would put their hands up for this job. Like, knowing what a fucking loose unit Elon Musk is, knowing that you're going to be an empty suit, a puppet for Elon Musk and his every... Like, do you really think you can control the whims of Elon Musk? Like,
heck no.
Few are stronger than you have tried and failed. Okay, so... just crazy that she thought she'd be able to step in. But yeah, she's, I guess, going along with it because she's getting some sweet paycheck, I guess.
Yeah, well, so what they've done, we haven't actually said sort of what they've done, was
everyone knows. They're not getting their news here. Everyone's heard.
No. Everyone's heard. But so Elon Musk has, in the latest attempt to follow his lifelong dream of naming anything X, he has done just that to Twitter. So Twitter is now not called Twitter anymore. It is called X. And the logo is now an X.
Yeah.
And you no longer
tweet, you X,
I X'd it.
you
Hang
X on
Do you
X.
it's still Twitter, isn't it?
No, it's the company's called X now.
Yes,
This
okay,
is my
so
point.
I missed that part. I thought it was just a logo.
No, this is the whole point.
Oh, what?
It is not Twitter Corp anymore or whatever. It is X Corp.
Which, by the way, wasn't that the name of the evil company in the robot show, Mr. Robot?
Oh, I haven't.
Oh
seen
no, it was
but
Evil
sure.
Corp. Evil Corp.
But yeah, just like so, it's called X. Adam, yeah, that's why this is bad shit. It's no longer called Twitter. It's not like Meta being like, we're not called Facebook anymore, we're called Meta, but Facebook is still Facebook. This is like, it is X Corp, and the platform is called X, and like, they won't be called tweets. They're just X's.
You X'd it out.
X things, and
Bro.
you repost rather than retweet. They are undoing. That's the
Bro,
thing,
I
like,
was Doom Xing all afternoon.
like it's
They're
the whole thing
undoing
of-
15 years of branding, the image, the language. It's like you want to destroy the company. It's like you are trying. Like if you sat down with like the Harvard Business School, and you're like, how do I destroy a company in the quickest amount of time possible? Like, well, either one, put it in Rhodes in Greece and watch it burn down, or two, let Elon Musk take it over and do all this cooked shit to it. Like those would be the options. So it's now X. The thing that's crazy about it is it just seems so like on a whim. It's like no one's thought about this. The logo is like not trademarkable because it's just like a generic font that anyone can use.
Super bland font.
But it's like a font that exists in like Word. Anyone can use this font and come up with this X symbol. It's not trademarkable, right? The Meta owns the copyright for X, like as anything to do with social media. X already belongs to Meta, so it's like some sort of infringement there. Yeah. And they didn't even own the tweet handle at X. It was some guy, and they're just like,
some guy.
Sorry, this is ours now. Fuckity bye.
Yeah, like they just took
it was not planned out at all.
And he came back to X, not Twitter. He came back to as at X 1234567899876 as far as he would let it go, and he was like, well. This is happening, isn't it? They just pinched that. They then started like actual Twitter. Twitter HQ. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter.
I'm calling it Twitter. It's too difficult to call it X. It doesn't make any sense. I'm calling it Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter HQ in San Francisco or whatever. They then were like starting to change the sign out the front, removing the letters for Twitter to put X's up there. And the fucking cops turned up because, of course, they don't own the building.
They don't have a permit.
Like, they're leasing the building and they didn't have a permit. They were just doing it. And they got stopped doing it because no one's thought of this shit.
No one's thought. You know how people think like, it's just like they're playing 12D chess. They're thinking 12 steps ahead. They're not even thinking one step ahead. It's just like Elon fired off an X off the toilet, and I guess this is how the company is now.
He's just been desperate to name something X for like 20 fucking years. Like he wanted to do it before PayPal was a thing. Like he seemed.
You know what it is? He heard the song X Gon Give It To You, and he thought that's a great idea for an app.
It's a fantastic idea for an app. And then furthermore, like I don't know what the real word for this sort of thing is, but like he's
megalomania.
Well, that too. But I mean,
narcissism,
where your branding is a verb. Like you're one of the few companies that has that. Like, we Google things, we Xerox things, we tweet things.
You hoover the carpet, okay? The brand has become synonymous with the thing, okay?
Yeah.
So to take that position in the market and go, actually, no, I'm good. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's kind of what happened to sort of what's it called? Skype, right? Like you'd Skype someone, which would be I'd video call someone, but I would Skype them.
Yeah.
Oh, Skype has just got disappeared by Microsoft. Now it's just Teams.
Yeah. I say all the time now to my parents, can I Skype you Wednesday night? We use Facebook video chat. But I just do. It's so fucking insane. I also just want to say, I'll send you guys a picture of this and I'll just describe it also to the listeners, but also why this rebrand change is so insane.
The reason I get so up Elon's ass about this is because I used to have a decent amount of respect for him, right? You know, as someone who popularized Tesla, who, you know, built up SpaceX. He was like, a decade ago, we were comparing him to Tony Stark. He was going to lead the electric car revolution. Like, he was valorized as this like hero of capitalism that was going to change the world. And he's like, actually, it's called X. Stop dead naming my company, says the guy who dead names his own child. Like,
yeah, or Batuta did that or something.
God.
And it was brilliant.
It's just so abundantly clear the guy's just a fucking loser. They had this whole mystique built up around him about being this brilliant business person, and it's all bullshit. The guy's just like a fucking idiot with $200 billion or $170 billion now after what he's done to Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and so what I just sent you guys there in the chat is what the browser tab looks like if I go visit the official Twitter X account on X in my web browser, and it is a favicon, which is the little logo that you get in a browser,
in your web browser,
in your little web browser. So it's the X of X, and then it's the name of the website, which is X. And then it's in brackets, the account I'm looking at, which is @X. And then it's the web extension, like the extension of the website that's in there, which is also an X.
Yeah, so to describe it
looks like algebra. It's like
it looks like
divided by X.
Yeah, it looks like a complicated math problem, or I'm hopping on somewhere to have a wank.
Yeah.
Like, it's so many X's.
It's too many X's.
It is either porn or nerdery. Like, it does not look like a way, or I've got malware. So it looks like my computer's having a conniption.
To describe it, it's like a capital X, parentheses, @X, close parentheses, /X. And I can't explain it any better than that. That is a perfect explanation of that.
Yeah. It looks like one of Elon's kids' names. Is what it looks like.
Oh, you mean his son AR-15 or whatever that?
Or like fucking F-15.
But it's pronounced Kyle.
Yeah, something like that. It's fucking stupid. It's just insane, and it's that there's been zero planning in any of this. Like, not only the building permits and all that kind of crap, but like once the app updated on my phone and then the logo, like the app icon turned to X, it's still called Twitter in my phone. Like, the app's still called Twitter. And when I open it up, yeah, the X logo's there. But if I press the little blue symbol, it's like, oh, do you want to tweet? Oh, how many retweets does this thing have? It still says retweets. It still says all the other stuff. I'm like, what the f*** are you doing? You absolute bellend.
So the X has long been an obsession of Elon Musk's and is his name for an everything app that he has pledged to launch at some point, with Twitter as the likely vehicle. Shortly before buying Twitter in October last year, Musk described the social media platform as, quote, an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. Which means nothing. That is a phrase that is nonsensical. That means nothing.
I want an app that does everything.
An accelerant. So I guess it's modeled after like, is it Weibo or WeChat over in China?
Oh yeah, where it's like
Weibo, I think you'll find.
Yeah, Weibo.
Weibo, I think it was. So basically where it's like, an everything app where it's like, it's Uber, it's your payments, it's your social media, it's all in the one kind of thing, right? That's what I guess what he wants to go for. But it's like, Twitter's not even good at being Twitter at the moment. Like, I was trying to load up tweets the other day and it wasn't working. It's like, you're not even good at being the thing that you are right now. How are you going to be payments and Uber and groceries and all of these other things? Like, it also makes no sense because like the Chinese digital ecosystem, the reason that works to have an everything app is because the whole ecosystem is very tightly controlled and everything that goes through has to be approved by the government. So you have a situation where government controls enable the aggregation of all of these different services into the one provider. In America, that would be called antitrust. That would be illegal. Because you can't have everything all in one because that eliminates competition. Like, that is literally illegal. America, by definition, has a plurality of services and will not let you aggregate all of these services in the one place, even if you could get the consumer base together in one place that would allow you to do that, the government would stop you because it's anti-competitive. Like, what is the strategy here? What's the show me the vision board, Elon? I don't understand where this is going. You've got X, they're trying to do X Corp, and the holding parent company is X Holdings Corp, and they want to do X Payments. Obviously, X Video is already in existence.
Yeah, X Video
that exists already. If you know, you know. It's WeChat was the Chinese platform that I was referring to earlier. In June last year, Musk reportedly told Twitter staff, quote, "You basically live on WeChat in China. If we can recreate that with Twitter, will be a great success," which feels a lot like the kind of back of the napkin math that cokeheads do, where they're like, okay, so the market's worth $300 billion, mate. So if we just get like 1% of this fucking market, bro, that's $3 billion, bro. Like, it's fucking inevitable. We're going to be fucking billionaires, bro. Like,
And he writes that down on the napkin, and someone says, "But like, won't we just be completely destroying market share and like, you know, all the brand identity?" And he's just like, "No, that'll buff right out, mate." She'll be right. We'll buff.
Oh my god, right Darren from Geelong is actually Elon Musk. It was this whole time.
Sorry, Geelong Musk.
Geelong Musk.
Thank you. That is a very good way to, I think, bring the show to a close. It circles around.
That is a full circle, mate. You can't beat that, and we're not going to. On that note, we have been, we are, we always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook. TikTok. It's thrown off my whole flow. At Unnatural Show. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and X at George Tippos.
You can follow me on X and Threads.
Yes,
at
and Threads.
Tom D. Heath and at Tom.Heath, respectfully.
You can follow me down to X headquarters, where I'll be pitching the benefits of an all-in-one program that also encompasses UFO and UAP technologies that have been picked up from the buddies in the US desert somewhere. So
the biologics, you mean?
Biologics, sorry. I've just seen a lot of Independence Day, and there's this line where the dad's like, they're on Air Force One somehow. I don't know. They got on Air Force One. They're on Air Force One and they're flying to Area 51. And then the guy's like, is this Jewish sort of old man, and he's like, "They got the bodies. They're locked up in a bunker somewhere." And that line just sticks with me every time someone talks about alien things being recovered. I'm just like,
they got the bodies.
They got the bodies. They're locked up. I'm like, okay.
Well, as
terrible accent, but sure.
As the prophet DMX once said, X gonna give it to you. Thanks for listening, guys. I love your faces. We'll see you next week.
Fuck. I said respectfully instead of
respectively. Like, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to embarrass you.
And I'm gonna be thinking about that for like years.
I prospect you.